What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another Roster Bubble Series video. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Comment and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate you all coming back. Just wanted to say something real quick. I apologize for the amount of errors that have taken place within the past, I would say, a few days. Really, the last two Roster Bubble videos, I did some wrong stuff with the templates, and there was a guy who pointed it out in the comments, so thank you very much to whoever that guy may be. But there was a video that I did for one roster bubble candidate, and the template was for another roster bubble candidate. So I apologize once again for the screw-ups. As a content creator, I have to be better for you guys, and I also have to be better in terms of for my team as well, because I know they work hard, and obviously I get on them if they make mistakes, and I made a mistake, a crucial mistake as well, because it could have cost me some subscribers, new people for the channel. But anyway, back to the central point of this video, another New York Giants roster bubble series video. In these types of videos, I take a player that's on the roster bubble, I talk about their background, I talk about their competition, I talk about how they could win a spot on the roster, how they could lose a spot on the roster, and a prediction at the end. So with that said, going to roster bubble video / profile number 44, I believe it is. Bryce Ford-Wheaton, wide receiver, undrafted free agent out of West Virginia. He's 23 years old. He was born in this century, 21st century. Just thought I'd throw it in there. 6'4", 221 pounds. As I said, undrafted free agent. Went to West Virginia. Played there from 2019 to 2022, redshirted 2018. Going to go over the stats real quick, and then we'll go over some of the traits and move forward with that. In terms of Bryce Ford-Wheaton, his first year playing with West Virginia, not the redshirt year, 7 games, 12 receptions, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, 16.8 yards per reception. His second year, the COVID season at West Virginia, 8 games, 27 receptions, 416 yards, 3 touchdowns, 15.4 yards per reception. 2021 for West Virginia. In his junior year, 11 games, 42 receptions, 575 yards, 3 touchdowns, 13.7 yards per reception. And then in his senior year at West Virginia, Bryce Ford-Wheaton, 12 games, 62 receptions, 675 yards, 7 touchdowns, 10.9 yards per reception. So what's to know about Bryce Ford-Wheaton? Well, as I stated before, he's a pretty tall dude. Positives: explosive play receiver. He's a solid deep threat and a good hand fighter. With that on the table, here are some negatives. Separation and drop issues. Issues with using his size as an advantage. What do I mean by that? He is a big dude, once again as mentioned. Sometimes when you're going up against a skinny DB or a DB that's lighter in the pants than you are, your size should be able to compensate for maybe the lack of speed. And there's a lot on tape of Bryce Ford-Wheaton not using that as an advantage. And also, one of his bigger flaws is not being a good route seller. The DB will easily read him in terms of an out route, something going deep, vertical, slant, what have you. So just some stuff I ought to throw out there in terms of the traits. Competition-wise, by the way, I just ought to headline this. He's been playing with mostly the third team, and he's had a quiet camp so far. The first few days, he started getting some more catches, but ever since then, it hasn't been great for Bryce Ford-Wheaton. But we'll see when the joint practices come around and the preseason games. Maybe it'll give him some new life. Competition: Cole Beasley, Colin Johnson, Jamison Crowder, David Sills, Khalil Pimpleton, Jaden Mickens. I believe his biggest threat in terms of making a roster spot, I would say 2 to 3 guys right now. And these guys really align in his category because they are of that skill set and talent level in certain ways, trait level too. David Sills is not a separator. He's a guy who's been here for years, has a chemistry with Daniel Jones. So he's in that category with Bryce Ford-Wheaton. They also both went to West Virginia. Jaden Mickens, he's a possession type of receiver, but I would probably put him below Bryce Ford-Wheaton in terms of a receiving threat. And then the last one, who is probably most obvious to New York Giant fans, is Colin Johnson. Colin Johnson is 6'6". He is a pretty tall and big dude. He's got a little bit more speed. And I think the Giants coaching staff now, obviously, I can only speculate, I think they like him more than some of the other receivers on the roster. He got a big ton of receptions last year in the preseason from Jones and Tyrod Taylor, so that he is advanced in terms of the chemistry. He's been here a year. He's advanced in terms of the playbook. And once again, it's going to be interesting. Colin Johnson, he has a little bit more speed, at least in my opinion. Now, either way, these two guys, Johnson and Bryce Ford-Wheaton, they're not going to get a huge amount of playing time. It's going to be Shep, Wandale, Isaiah Hodgins, Jalen Hyatt, and Darius Slayton. I just named you 5 receivers, plus any others I didn't mention. It's not like these guys are competing to be the number 2 wide receiver. That's not happening. But in terms of what best fits the Giants' offense, some may say Bryce Ford-Wheaton does. Some may say Colin Johnson does a little bit more. How can Bryce Ford-Wheaton win a spot on the roster? Work on the drop issues. He had a lot of them at West Virginia. There was one in particular where he beat his corner on a curl route while the corner was playing bail technique, and he basically set it like a volleyball, and it landed into the hands of the Pittsburgh corner, and that was a touchdown from there. So he's got to work on the drop issues. The Giants do not need drops. Whether it's a back-end guy, a front-end guy, drops, The Giants have had wide receivers with drops the last few years. They've been top 10 in drops the last few years. It doesn't need to be a part of this roster again. Be a part of big plays, move the chains. As a possession receiver, use your body to your advantage. 6'4", you're a big, tall guy. He's also a very good blocker perimeter-wise in terms of run blocking, so that could also be a factor. I know Sterling Shepard is a good run blocker as well. Colin Johnson too, but that could possibly get you on the roster. Perimeter blocking as a wide receiver, but move the chains and be a part of big plays. He's going to be with Tommy DeVito, and if I'm going to be completely fair to you guys, Tommy DeVito has not looked good this camp. He's looked confused. Obviously, as an undrafted free agent, you're not expecting a lot, but help Tommy DeVito out. If he makes a poor throw that nearly gets intercepted or something along the lines, just try to snag it from the defender's hands. Make a couple of plays, and that way the coaching staff recognizes, okay, that's a bad throw by DeVito, but a wonderful snag by Bryce Ford-Wheaton. So also sell your routes better. Mike Groh probably is helping Wheaton right now, and maybe other wide receivers too, selling his routes better, in and out of breaks. It's not going to get any easier at the NFL level having guys, up against you in press man coverage, which he's not great against. However, obviously there's room for improvement in a lot of areas, and maybe he transforms. So going on to the next, how can he lose? Separation skills and speed still lacks to the Giants coaching staff's disliking. Separation skills, I don't think that's going to be a huge part of why he gets cut or not, because that's not the type of receiver he is. He's a tall guy. You could say Kenny Galladay-esque. Slants, skinny posts, and curl routes. He has about maybe half of the route tree that Hodgins does. Hodgins is a little bit more speedy, so he gets, he's a little more advanced in that area. But I would say, yeah, Kenny Galladay mock-up type for Bryce Ford-Wheaton. Not that obviously Giant fans want to imagine that, but a big guy, 6'4", slants, skinny posts. Most of the stuff he succeeded with within the Detroit offense, and then a little bit in the Jason Garrett offense, which we know how that ended, of course. And drop issues persist. That will not be good for Bryce Ford-Wheaton if the drop issues persist. The Giants, once again, were top 10, top 15 in drops last year, the last few years. They need guys who can catch the football. And this guy really can't separate, which is something that the Giants really invested in this offseason. They invested in separators, Paris Campbell, a couple other different guys. And they could say, listen, this guy doesn't fit our offense. Why should we keep him? Be the reason that they do keep a 6'4" guy with no separation. Contested catches, stuff like that. And also, just to add on to the how he can win part, special teams. Special teams is big. The Giants are looking for kick and punt coverage guys. Wheaton is likely not going to be a return man, but kick and punt coverage, the Giants could use some extra help. And Jeff Smith is no longer on the roster, so they need a guy to step up there. So, once again, how can he win a spot on the roster, work on drop issues, be a part of big plays, move the chains, sell your routes better, use your body to your advantage? How can he lose? Separation skills and speed still lack. Special teams, not a factor. And also drop issues persist. I have him getting cut. I think the New York Giants will choose Colin Johnson over him. I think Johnson is more of an asset to this Giants team. And if they like Wheaton, I think he's a guy that you could put on the practice squad. If he doesn't make it through waivers and he goes to another team or he signs with another practice squad, oh well. I mean, but I think the Giants could possibly make this guy into a depth receiver. It's going to take time, though. It's going to take time, and we have to notice that there are some issues where he may not fit this offense. Like, comment, subscribe to all the good stuff. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or drops. Appreciate you all coming back, doing one of these every single day to the middle of training camp. Well, actually, training camp is almost done for the fan views in terms of, like, opening up to the fans and whatnot. But middle of the summer, almost done with these roster bubble videos, then a roster prediction at the end, and a lot more content coming for you guys. So appreciate you guys as always. Apologies for the video mistakes, and we'll see you next time.